Greetings. If you haven't seen the Orthodox Moor's latest videos, I definitely recommend them, especially the one that's titled, quote, "Wait, Dr. Pewlittle is out here censoring Zaydok because the good doctor is a language fraud," end quote. That video is about an hour long, and it's honestly a methodical, piece-by-piece dismantling of our right honorable friend, the good doctor over at the We Woke Now channel. And humorously, Moore ends that video with clips of the boxer James Toney, and the the video was indeed somewhat reminiscent of the way that James Toney took apart Vasily Jirov across roughly 45 minutes 2 decades ago. But whatever the case, for anyone who's interested, I'll share a link in the description to that video and the others. Now, Orthodox Moor often exhibits an ability to produce videos which are densely packed with thought-provoking comments and ideas, right? And that's actually one of the reasons I subscribe to his channel, why I'm a fan of his videos. And, you know, that trend was especially on display in this video, right? There was so much covered in that video that almost from minute to minute, he was covering something that could be its own conversation, right? And so for what it's worth, I'm actually thinking of making a video which piggybacks off his section on Benaya's Pew scholarship, as you know, there remains some unanswered questions about the claims that Benaya has made in the past, you know, and I might even show some of the fun comments from the live chat of that video. But maybe that's for next month. For now, I just wanted to make a short video which focuses on a part of Moore's video which I personally feel has relevance to the good doctor's grasp of Semitic adjectival suffixes, right? Or perhaps more specifically, the adjectival suffix in Hebrew, the Yod Suffix, which turns nouns into adjectives and, you know, national references and that kind of thing. And this is a topic I've actually been trying to help Dr. Kelly with for about 3.5 years now, and I'll show that in a little while. But whatever the case, the background to the clips that I'm going to show here is that the good doctor had initially put up a post which claimed that the Apostle Paul never identified as a Jew, which then inspired a gentleman known as Zaydok to offer some polite correction in that regard, which in turn got deleted by the always censorship-happy Dr. Kelly, who then tried to change his position in light of the corrections he deleted, right? But in this video, I'm going to more narrowly focus on the good doctor's attempt to note what Semitic construction is behind the Greek term Judaios, right? So I'm going to show 2 brief clips here, right? The first is from just after the 16-minute mark of Moore's video, in which he's reading Kelly's initial reply to Zaydok in a correspondence which was later deleted. And then the second clip is going to be from just after the 19-minute mark, when Moore is reading Kelly's adjusted caption. And what stood out for me in these clips is that Kelly makes basically the same claim 3 times in his statements, and the statements you're going to see in these 2 clips. So jumping right in, the precise timestamps will be noted on the screen, and so here are the relevant clips. Fair use.
But Kelly's first reply is, actually, Paul never referred to himself as a Jew. In the proper context, a Jew, etc., in Greek, etc., is from the transliteration Yehuda. Yehuda. In the text, it's referring to the southern kingdom. The word Jew now is completely switched up. Read before responding. Paul never said he was a Jew. In the proper context, Judaeos is from the transliteration Yehuda. In the text, it's referring to the southern kingdom, but not to the generic word Jew. The apostle was clear that his ethnicity is a Hebrew Israelite out of the tribe of Benjamin and born citizen of the southern kingdom of Judah. Now, this part is hilarious to me. And this is because he literally disproves his own position within his remix, right? Acts 21:39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city of Cilicia, etc., a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people, etc. Right? Question: did Paul actually refer to himself as a Jew or Judah? Yehuda of the southern kingdom. When did the 18th century word Jew become synonymous to all of Israel? Was the Messiah a Jew? Was all of Israel, etc., right?
So, as I alluded to before showing those clips, I just want to briefly focus on Kelly's attempt to describe the Semitic construction which stands behind the Greek term Judaios. You see, on two separate occasions, he explicitly wrote, quote, Judaios is from the transliteration Yehowadah / Yehuda, end quote. And then a third time he insinuates that Paul referred to himself as Judah, and again he puts Yehowadah / Yehuda in parentheses. First, on a perhaps minor note, it should be obvious that Judaios is not a transliteration of Yehowadah, right? It should be obvious that that Greek construction is an ancient witness to the recognition that the wa in the relevant term is a mater lectionis, representing an u vocalization, right? It's not wa, it's u, right? But that aside, if we're looking for what sort of Semitic construction Judaios is rooted in, more likely it's the Aramaic Yehudiah. For example, since the good doctor eventually got around to noting Acts 21:39, we can look at the ancient Syrian Aramaic translation of that verse, which can be found in the Peshitta, and because there we can find an Aramaic approximation. And I say approximation because obviously Syrian Aramaic is not exactly the same as Jewish Aramaic, but they're very, 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 very close. So on your screen is the 17th century Walton Polyglot, which is available online, and you can find a link to it in the video description. And focusing in on verse 39, when Paul refers to himself as a Jew, the Syriac text has Yehudiah. And it makes sense, therefore, that the Greek construction Judaios was likely from the Aramaic Yehudiah. And if we look past the terminal aleph in that construction, which is the aleph at the end of the word, I would note the Yod suffix. That's going to sort of be central to all this, right? This is a suffix which the good doctor, at best, seems to struggle to remember. Now, I want to look at the Hebrew equivalent of this Aramaic term, but before I do, I want to quickly look at the Arabic translation of the same verse, which appeared in the same Walton Polyglot. You see, the Arabic text has Yehudi, and note the Ya at the end, which is equivalent of the Yod. I wanted to point that out because the Hebrew equivalent would be Yehudi, a word which one can find more than a few times in the Hebrew Bible, right? Especially in the book of Esther. Most of the instances of the word Yehudi appear in the book of Esther, but it's also found outside of Esther. It's found in Zechariah as well. And I just want to note really quickly that the way the Greek transliteration moves directly from the iota to the u vocalization implies an ancient recognition of the equivalent of a schwa for the yod, which is to say that the transliteration implies that the yod was basically unvocalized, right? This is the understanding of those who held to this particular rendering. Now, why is any of this worth mentioning at all? That's what some of you might be wondering. Well, when Kelly says that Paul was calling himself Judah or Yehowadah or Yehuda, he's implying this construction right here, right? Which you see on the right of your screen. And when he does so, he has clearly lost sight of the adjectival form or the related construction which has that Yod suffix. And the reason this stands out for me personally is because 3.5 years ago, back in May of 2020, I had a video titled Israeli versus Israelite, which tried to help the good doctor understand precisely this subject, right? That video has relevance to this common Semitic adjectival suffix, right? Represented by the Yod, or in Arabic with the equivalent Ya. And in fact, with regards to the Arabic, it's called by some the nisba suffix, right? Or the suffix of relationship. Now, back in May of 2020, the good doctor was saying that he's an Israelite. He was insisting he's an Israelite, not an Israeli, right? So my video from 3.5 years ago attempted to explain to him that he was unwittingly siding with a Greek and Latin suffix against a Semitic, Hebrew, and biblical suffix, right? That ite suffix for Israelite, that's rooted in the suffix ites, which is found in Latin and Greek, ultimately Greek. And meanwhile, Israeli uses that Yod suffix, which is found in the Hebrew Bible, right? This is what I was attempting to explain to him, right? And he didn't know that the word Israeli appeared in the biblical text. And he didn't know that the Yod suffix is thoroughly Semitic and biblical, right? But that was 3.5 years ago. One might be thinking, surely by now, the good doctor gets it, right? However, when he's saying that Paul was claiming to be Judah or Yehowadah or Yehuda rather than Yehudi, he's giving us the strong impression that he still doesn't quite understand that adjectival suffix, or at best he forgot about it, right? And that was precisely the impression I got when seeing this come up, a couple of days ago. And then Kelly himself confirmed it, right? Just yesterday in a new video titled Addicted to the J, the good doctor himself made the connection between his current silliness over the word Jew and his continued confusion over the word Israeli. Consider this clip from the 1320 mark of that video and fair use.
Let go of that name. We are the original Israelites. We're not Israeli. If you out of the tribe of Judah, Yahweh, we are the original Judah.
So, being that our right honorable friend continues to struggle with this grammatical feature of Semitic languages, I wanted to share some examples of the Yod as adjectival suffix in biblical Hebrew, whether it's the word Yehudi or Yisraeli or Moabi or Arami or Kushi, or other examples that could be brought up, like Arabi appears, right? The pattern here should be obvious. And it was one that the good doctor did not seem to notice, right? He doesn't seem to have fully grasped it yet. But hopefully he'll see this, or perhaps if someone can smuggle a screenshot behind the walls of his heavily censored echo chamber, maybe he can benefit from that. I don't know. Whatever the case, on a closing note, I should probably point out that when the good doctor was corrected on his claim that Paul did not claim to be a Jew, he tried to shift the discussion to an objection to the letter J. And with that sort of shift in mind, it is possible that he might likewise look at this chart and try to shift the discussion to his preference for Lashon Kodash pronunciations, right? For example, he might say, I don't want to say Mitzri, I'd rather say Matazaraya or something, I don't know. So let me note now that irrespective of how the good doctor wants to pronounce the biblical terms on the screen, the fact remains that he was either unaware of or had forgotten about this feature of Hebrew, right? But it's my sincere hope that our friend might benefit from this video, right? He might say that, there's instances where I've said Yehudi or something like that, but he doesn't seem to show any awareness of this Yod suffix working like this, creating these adjectives and stuff like that within biblical Hebrew, right? Because when he tries to give you the ancient Israelite equivalents, he seems to lose sight of it. With that, I'll close this video here. As always, I welcome any comments, questions, or criticisms. You see, unlike the good doctor over at the We Woke Now channel, I don't censor anyone here. So feel free to share your thoughts, whether positive or negative, and God bless.